Hello, everyone. Welcome to Breakthrough, a show about mastering the mindsets of success. This show is very proudly brought to you by Ludonomics and Opeaklife. My name is Lisa Wong. I'm a transformation coach at Opeaklife and Mindvalley and a former anchor at ESPN. It's my vision to bring to you the stories of successful individuals and deep dive into how they build themselves to become the person they are, so you're inspired and committed to live your best life personally and professionally. Now, I'm super thrilled to introduce my guest today, a friend and a mentor to me, Perthpal Singh Khosa. I knew Perthpal from one meeting at an event, and by the end of 90 minutes, we were trading experiences and high performance proprietaries excitedly. Perthpal is the co-founder of Learning Edge, who specializes in management, training methodology, change management, and also team dynamics. He's the author of Thrive, one of the most important books any fresh graduate can enhance their learning and growth, and for any person who wants to deepen their personal growth and excellence. So please welcome Perthpal Singh Khosa. Very pleased to have you on the show, Perthpal.
It's a pleasure being here. Really nice. The introduction was amazing. Sometimes when someone introduced me like that, I'm wondering, is that really me? Because I'm in the process of building myself, isn't it? So, but yeah, that's lovely. Thank you.
You're most welcome. Now let's begin with your book, Thrive, a marvelous book on how one should thrive but not just survive if you want to achieve success in your career. So I understand that this book is a culmination of your experiences in decades of training and conversing with leaders in the country. Now, I love how you laid out delayed gratification in chapter 1. This must have been a very conscious decision. Is that?
Yes, conscious one. In fact, if I had mastered this when I was starting my career, I probably will take probably half the time to reach where I've reached now. And I think if people just master this one, this will be the foundation, I think. A lot of other things can be built on it. So I really believe that mastering delayed gratification is going to be crucial in one's success, definitely.
Okay, so tell us a little bit more about delayed gratification. Perhaps describe how it can help one's success.
Okay, so there's a lot of literature written about the concept of delayed gratification. Started in 1972, Walter Mischel famously did the marshmallow test, and where he put 4 to 5 year old kids through a series of tests to see whether they will eat a marshmallow put in front of them or will they delay, because if they delay, they get a second one. About two-thirds of them just ate it immediately. So then they tracked these people who did not eat the marshmallow immediately, and the study was for over 40 years, and they found that these people had better careers. They are they are better controlled in terms of their diet and their health. They have better relationship and so on. But then another research was done to find out whether is this an innate ability or is this something that can be learned. So University of Rochester actually did another study. They took two kids, two group of people, put them in group one, group two, and they gave them unreliable experience for group number one, and they gave a reliable experience for group number two. What I mean by this is simply this: they give them a small box of crayon and said, if you don't open this crayon, we'll give you a bigger one at the end of this 15 minutes. That was instruction given for both the groups. For group one, they actually did not give them a bigger crayon box at the end of the 15 minutes, but for group two, they did. Now, then they gave them another sticker. They gave them sticker and said, this is a small sticker. If you don't stick it, you get a bigger one. For group one, again, that promise was not met. They did not give them the sticker. And group two had a reliable experience that delayed gratification really served them. Then they put them into the marshmallow test again, and immediately the team that had unreliable experience ate the marshmallow. 100% of them ate. You know why? Because they felt that no point, because we didn't get anything. But group number two actually did that. So, which means that delayed gratification can be learned. It's a learned behavior. All right. So that was interesting. However, there's an interesting research done. There's a book written called Scarcity, A Case of Too Little Means So Much. It was written in 2013, whereby they found that your economic background has got an impact to your ability to delay gratification. People who do not come from well-established families, in the case where they do not have that much, that little bit now is enough already. They are already happy getting that. So therefore, delayed gratification, when someone wants to help a group of people, you cannot just simply look at them and say that they all fit into this one group and the rules apply. No, you may have to tweak a little bit because different people have got different backgrounds. So that's something about delayed gratification.
It's very interesting that gratification comes from perhaps the root word of gratitude, right? So I'm just wondering if someone has a lot more gratitude in their life, that means that, they don't have to look at it as something that they need impulsively to acquire. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Before you go in there,
Mm.
Perthpal, I just want to say some exciting news on the show that we have two of Perthpal's book, all right, Thrive, to give away. We will cue you on how to win this book. So as we go along, so keep tuning in. So yes, back to you, Perthpal.
Right. I like that thing about whether delayed gratification have got anything to do with gratitude. I think to some extent it does. They said contentment is not about not wanting more. It's about being appreciative to what you have right now and be patient to wait for what is to come.
Hmm.
I think that in that sense, I think then you need to have the gratitude for what you have, but also the patience for wanting that little bit more in the future.
Hmm.
I think, yeah, what you say makes sense. Yeah, gratitude. Mm.
Hmm. Thank you. I like that as well. So let's go to the other point where I know you raise this very intensely, even in your training sessions, to seek discomfort. So this is a very controversial topic, right? Because it goes against the human impulse or the human condition of seeking pleasure.
Yeah, and I can't help it. I'm advantageous. I have this advantage because I'm an immigrant. My dad came from India, and I was born here. But we all carry something called the immigrant mindset. We never settle. We feel that we are being challenged all the time. Therefore, we try harder. In fact, social psychology has proven that the immigrant community will always do better than the local community. Why? Because we are uncomfortable. You're stretched. So because of that, it it actually helped us to achieve much more. We just put extra pressure on ourselves, and over time, your muscles for discomfort become stronger. Now, my worry is that my children are getting so comfortable. Therefore, I need to make sure that I cut off their branches and so that they will keep on flying. So the idea here is to get uncomfortable. Now, how do you do that? One of the best way for you to be uncomfortable will be meeting people of different types and also reading things that you may not necessarily agree. You start
Mm.
cross-pollinating your thinking with different source of information that challenges the way you look at things. So never settle. I just find that that's so powerful. In fact, if I may give you an example of seeking discomfort, I was comfortable when I got my job in SGS Thompson, getting good pay. I was living 4 minutes away from my home. Mom cooked food, ironed my clothes, working with 6,000 girls at one place. That's a lovely place, right? For a young boy.
Wow,
Yeah.
there's a
And
lot of women.
yes, and with overtime, you take back about 3,300 ringgit way back in 1991, 1992. That's a lot of money for a fresh graduate at age 23. But then I applied for a job in the corporate world in Celcom at half the salary. They offered me only 1,006. What did I do? I did take that. Why? Because I was playing the long game, I was not playing the short game. You see, sometimes you're holding on to things that's going to make you comfortable or giving you comfort right now, but the same thing is going to make you very, very uncomfortable in the future. So I decided to have a dip. And that dip was necessary in order for me to go to a higher point. So a lot of people just play the short game, and delayed gratification is about playing the long game. You're in this for a long haul. So that kind of mindset will actually help you a lot. You can't beat someone who's not going to stop running for 42.195 kilometers. He's playing the long game. You cannot outrun a marathon runner, isn't it? So, so a career is like that. I think it's for the long haul, and there's so many different things that's going to come along the way. So you're going to keep on feeling uncomfortable. And I think the last 2 years, the entire population of this country got really, really uncomfortable. And from
Mm.
that comes a lot of opportunity, I think. Yeah.
So we attracted a lot of fresh graduates to the show, right? To watching this episode, as well as job seekers in the market. So perhaps, Perthpal, you can disseminate here some information on, how to put yourself into discomfort and what is the gain and how long do you see yourself being comfortable in that graph?
Okay, so I think I normally say this to all the fresh graduates. In fact, I spend about 30% of my time speaking to young graduates for the past 11 years or so. And I tell them this actually, on the first day I meet them, I say, if you are willing to do what most are not willing to do, if you are if you're going to read more than anybody else, take on assignment that nobody wants to do more than everybody else, spend your weekends in developing yourself. If you're willing to do that for the first 2 to 5 years, the next 25 is going to be yours. And those people who are not willing to do that is going to end up reporting to you. So the first 2 to 5 is crucial. Now, I'm saying 2 to 5 years, but basically, every time you reach to that level of comfort, something else is going to come along the way and it's going to put you through that cycle. So I think to be in a state of discomfort perpetually is the only way that you grow. It's like it's a paradox, isn't it? In order for you to build, you need to destroy. In order for you to, you have to be cruel to be kind. These are all paradoxes. So I think you have to be hard on yourself so that life can be easy on you, to a certain extent. I think that applies. So if they master that, I think they're going to have a great start. Definitely a great start.
Absolutely. Now, I like to draw parallels to, a lot of gym goers, or if you're into building strength or muscle, right? You always have to go through the process of destroying some muscle fiber for the muscles to get stronger, right? And to build a second and third layers. So that is uncomfortable. Doing the repetitions, that's uncomfortable, but then the gain, it's there. So once it's that whole mastery of that discomfort. Would you say that, Paul?
Yeah. Okay. So we have to be very careful because some people have got the built-in stamina to weather through difficult times. For some people, they may not have that. So what they need to do, they need to surround themselves in an environment that will allow for that fire to keep on burning. So really, the books that you read and the people that you meet are two things that can help you weather through the difficult period. For example, I'm totally comfortable working out alone. If you know, I like being alone. I'm not lonely, but I just love being alone. I totally am comfortable. The last 2 years in the lockdown, I was not feeling miserable. I love it. It was quiet time for me, and I can thrive in that environment. But for some people, they can't. So I am comfortable running alone. I am quite driven about doing things. Some people do not operate that way. They need people around. So you have to see what works for you, right? Some people have to announce the goals that they want to achieve. Some people just keep the goals inside. Let that be the burning factor for you to achieve. They say, work hard silently and let your success make all the noise. I totally am comfortable with that, but some people can't. They need to have that kind of celebration along the way to keep themselves going. So they jump on that machine, test their fat content. They need to see their BMI. They need to see the waist to hip ratio, and they have to constantly look at it to get themselves excited. I, on the other hand, I don't do that. I just know that's where I'm going to go. I know certain rituals I'm going to do, and I'm going to stick to that plan. So I can do that, but not many people do that, right? So you need to know what works for you. Yeah.
Fair enough. I just want to put this out that, if you have any questions for Perthpal, do write in the comment section. Even if you're watching the post show in any platform, if you just tag Perthpal or our producer, Shasi, or just put in the comment box, we will get back to you with the answers. So Perthpal, now going on to the next part, take an action and not fake an action. Now, in your book, you embolden fake an action. What is fake an action, by the way?
Okay, so there's a difference between taking action and faking action. I give an example of faking action, and this is an example I use quite a lot. When I wanted to write my book, it's something that I wanted to do for the longest time, but I'm not a writer. I don't have that writing skills, but it's about putting pen to paper, right? So I decided to write the book and announce to my team I'm going to take that 3 months in the pandemic and sit down between 8 to 10 hours a day writing. Now, 8 to 10 hours, I did sit. I did park my butt in the seat between 8 to 10 hours. Basically, 6 hours thinking what to write. Another 3 hours probably writing. Now, and before I wanted to write, I said, okay, I do not type. I love writing, and I love to write, and I need to use pencils, and I cannot use mechanical pencil. It has to be 2B. So I have to have 24 of them all sharpened, right? I need to have a chair that's comfortable. I need to have a table with a light, with the right lighting. I need to have my air condition at 22 degrees. I need to have a carpet laid down so that my seat does my chair does not roll that easily. I need to have my tidbits so that I don't have to waste time going downstairs to pick up stuff. I have all of them, but I never wrote. That's an example of faking action. You are just pussyfooting around issues that you want to do, or you're just delaying stuff. It's like you want to run, you go get your Fitbit, you get your apparels, you get your shoes, you get your socks, you get your manuals, but you never put on the shoes and never run. That is the example of faking action and not taking action. So as soon as you take action, results are already being produced. So a lot of time we end up faking action. So I'm brutally honest in that book. I say if you want to achieve certain things, start identifying what are the things that you are faking and eliminate that and go for the juggler, because you are really wasting so much time of faking it.
Mm,
So I'm sure that you came across this line, right? People say fake it till you make it, right?
yes.
But people don't realize there's a third part to it. Fake it till you make it, till you become it. In fact, I think it was Plato who said that you have to move from a human knowing to a human doing to a human being, that you become it. That So when I say fake it till you make it, not about faking driving a car that you can't afford, not those kind of things. I think you should fake about trying to be looking confident that eventually you will start becoming that. That's the kind of faking that I would suggest people play with, but not faking trying to look rich when you are not. Eating in a fancy restaurant just for the Instagram purpose. That's instant gratification. It's not going to pay you anything in the long run. So yeah, it's all connected to that, lah. Yeah.
Very nice, very nice. There's also this one part which is foundational to any person, regardless, the success comes in your personal life or your professional life. Emotions. Manage your emotions. So you talked about emotional literacy and thriving with your emotions. So give us some tips here on your take on this topic, Perthpal, because
Right.
emotional intelligence is so talked about.
Sure.
Mm,
So I wanted to touch on that topic a little. It's a book to actually tell them that what are the areas that you must start looking at in order for you to have a thriving career, or if you want to be an entrepreneur, what are the things that you need to have. So I did talk about emotions. That chapter was written basically because I needed that. It was more for me than anybody else. Um, I'm a very emotional person. Maybe I can be doing my stand up routine, I can laugh, but I can be very, very easily swayed with my moods, right? Um, so much so that, I right now, I drive a SUV. I don't drive a sedan. Why? Basically, because driving SUV regulates my emotion. Why? Because if you are high up and if you're stuck in a jam, I
mhm.
know what's the reason the jam is there. I'm okay if I know the reason why I'm stuck behind a car. But if I'm stuck behind a car not knowing why, that irritates me. And my behavior changes. And one thing that I notice when I'm angry, my left hand will clench and I will put it on my thigh and my hand will be on the steering wheel. I didn't know that until my wife said, "Are you angry, right?" I said, "No, I'm not angry." "Hey, you are angry." I said, "I'm not angry, okay?" She said, "Look at your fist." And that's when I realized I have certain triggers. That's what I do. Yeah, right? And that's when everything goes downward spiral. So I start realizing there are certain things that I can do that can actually nip it in the bud before it even happen. I am a bit OCD. Just an exaggeration. I love things. I like things to be the way they are. On the other hand, my wife is someone who just accept everything the way it is.
Oh, nice.
She is like, all is good, all is well. If we lose something, it was never meant for us. If we have something, it was meant for us. I'm like, oh man, that's so irritating. You're so calm. She is irritatingly calm. All right. But I'm glad she's like that. If she's like me, I wouldn't like her, really. So in that book, I actually talk about having emotional literacy. You need to be able to put a finger and label your emotions. And I that's a chapter that I wrote. And then a little bit of CBT, cognitive behavior therapy, for you to um, look at the feeling that you have and put it in a structure so that you can identify what are the things that's really, really bothering you. Some of the thinking that you have, you can catastrophizing is one of big issue. If something does not go well, I'm always thinking of the worst case scenario. That's who I am. I will I will think that it's going to be really, really bad. So therefore it helps me sometimes because I over prepare then. But you cannot be operating like that all the time. So there are a lot of triggers like this. So in that particular chapter, I tell people that in order for you to have a great career in front of you, you need to be able to master your emotion, and that's something that uh, you will be tested from time to time, again and again. It's not something that you're going to have and that's it. It's something that you're going to keep on working. If you're a bachelor, as a young person, it's only you and your probably your girlfriend or your boyfriend and your parents, and then you have your spouse. You're marrying someone who's totally different than you, and then you discovered amazing thing about your spouse, and you adjust, and then the children come. And children, I tell my children this, jokingly, of course. I've got a 18, I've got a 19, I've got a 17, and I've got a 7.5. And I told all my three kids, I say, you know what I discovered after the end of the pandemic? I don't love you guys that much anymore, really. I don't. You need to go to school, for heaven's sake. Too many of us in the house at the same time. We all need space. And I love them to bits, of course. Right. So I
Right.
actually talk about that. Mm.
So we have a comment here from Roshan Thiran saying the marshmallow experiment. We did a show on it for Sight. So he's giving you a compliment saying, nice reference, Perthpal.
Ah,
Um, thank you, Roshan.
Roshan, it's always amazing to listen to you, mate.
Mm,
Definitely one of the mentors in the training and development industry. Definitely.
absolutely, absolutely, a leader. So your yin to yang, your wife and you, Perthpal, it's definitely
Mm.
the yin and the yang, right? That it just marries so well together as a unit. When it comes to transforming your low emotions, like you saying your anger, how do you do it? Give us a tip.
Oh, okay. So I move my ass. I basically move my body, man. I know it's a great regulator. Like, you asked me just now how you feeling. Uh, just before we got online, I said, well, I'm feeling a little bit tired. Why? I had a heavy set of meetings this morning, and then I went to the gym. I pushed myself a bit too much. Um, Today was a bit too much, I normally hit about an hour and a half, but today I went 2 hours 15 and working only on two sets of muscle group, and that was really too much. But I find that as soon as I move, I can regulate my emotions really. The concept of motion creates emotion, right? As soon as you move
Mm,
physiologically, your mind has got no choice but to follow what your body says. So,
mm,
so the worst thing that you can do is to be static. So I find that the fastest way, if someone's feeling not that great, if you're feeling sad or you're feeling happy or angry, move, move.
mm.
Right, move. And I know
Yeah.
some of the triggers that I have, right? Some of the triggers. Um,
Mm,
if I do not have information in hand, that irritates me, right? So what do? Pick up the call, call someone who can give me the information. I need to. keep moving forward. Yeah. And that way, I know that I'm improving. So I find that
Mm.
regulating my emotions by moving is one of the fastest way for me to regulate my emotions, really.
I totally agree with that. Because you think about this, if you are upset or angry, and if you just tell yourself, I would just jump 20 times and literally just stand up and start jumping, I bet you at the end of 20 rounds, you would feel much better.
Mm,
What do you
mm.
think?
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah. For
Put your
people who
hands
have,
up in the air
yeah,
and do it. Yeah.
yeah, agreed, agreed.
We have this comment from Randeep Singh
Mm,
saying the essence of being successful is not faking it, but the opposite, being authentic. So if you
right.
want to become someone or achieve something, it has to come from your authentic self. You may be, I think he's missing out a word there. I suppose you may be able to achieve it. When you fake it, you lose a part of who you are. And how can that be a success?
Okay, good question. Randeep, thanks for tuning in. Now,
Mm.
as I said just now, I said, be careful. The concept of faking it till you're making it. It's not about faking you being a successful person. It's about you having a fear and then confronting the fear by putting a brave front in order for you to deal with that situation. So, for example, I I do enjoy speaking in large crowds. I do. I find that I thrive well when I have a bigger crowd. Group of 20 people, yeah, I've been doing that. I just love stages. I really do. Now, when I go up on stage, I've prepared my materials. I've got it all figured out. I've done it, right? I have butterflies in my stomach. Yes, I do. But the difference is my butterflies flies in formation. Why? Because I've trained them well, but they should be there. Now, am I jittery? Yes, I am. But when I go up there, I'm going to put on my great smile. I'm going to push my shoulders to the back, telling them that I want to be here. Sometimes I don't want to be there because I have got other things that I want to do. I do want to be there. But if I am already there, I'm going to do whatever it takes for me to honor the contract and the work that I promised to do. So that's where the faking it happens. Remember, I said faking it till you're making it, till you become it. That eventually it becomes your authentic self. You can't even differentiate between fantasy and reality. You have become what you choose to pretend to be to eventually authentically become that. So that's the process. Not about faking and just berpura-pura trying to show that you are successful, but you do not have the content, you do not have the practice. So no, um, so that's not the angle that I was talking about.
Hmm. Shashi Wag says, absolutely, running always makes a difference for me. Keep running then, Shashi, when you're feeling, especially if you're feeling upset or angry. It makes all that difference. Well done. So coming to the book now, Perthpal again, Busting
Mhm.
the Success Myth. Let's pick your number one myth. You
Ha,
called it fairy tales told over time. Now do
yeah,
what you love. Let's combine it with myth number three. Focus on what you do best.
right.
So we keep hearing this, right? Especially from well-meaning people saying to us, "Hey, you know what? If you have to do something, do what you love and focus on what you do best."
Okay. That has been romanticized far too long right now. Let me ask you this, Lisa. Uh, are you living your dream right now? Is this what you always wanted to do all your life?
Mm,
Since you were in Standard One, you always wanted to be a TV personality.
yes. I
Yes.
remember watching just a presenter, right, when I was just a kid and going like, in my mind, going like, one day I'm really hoping to be in her seat.
Great.
So, yes.
Okay. So, you know what? All the power to you. I'm happy for you. But
Thank
there are
you.
so many people out there, including me, who are doing things that probably this is not what we wanted to do, but we are doing it and we fall in love with it. It's like this. Someone actually gave me a great example. My
Mm,
great dad. He said, my father did not want to retire. He wanted to resign Because my father never liked his job. My father was a watchman. And we know watchmen stand in the same spot for 30 years carrying a double barrel with 2 bullets in it, never took a shot. Is living his dream? Definitely not. But if you're an immigrant, you do not have that many choices in life and you choose to be that. And he did that. Why? Because he was not pursuing personal joy, he was looking for more meaningful work. You see, sometimes some people are very hedonistic. They're looking for everything that they do must bring them joy. I think that's very individualistic. I think people should see joy or happiness as a byproduct of doing meaningful work. So my father did a meaningful work. Why? Because he feel that he's giving the kids a greater life. However, my father never liked his job. But although he never liked his job, he was never late to his work in 30 years. Mustache will be handlebar, shirts will be all pressed, and he will go to his job every day doing his best. At the age of 51, my father did retire. He resigned. Actually, he resigned. So on the day he resigned, I said, Wapa, not bad, Apa. 30 years, you must have really loved your job. He said, what stupid job that was. The typical Punjabi man. I said, but you went to work every day. He said, yes, it's because of you. They always blame the kids. It's like, I didn't ask you to make me. Of course, I didn't say that to him. But then he told me this. He said, Beta, look, sometimes a boy meets a girl, they fall in love, and then they get married, right? I said, yeah. He said, Beta, but sometimes some people also get married first and then fall in love. He said, love is not a criteria for marriage, which is a very alien thing for a lot of Westerners and also some people in Malaysia, probably, in the Asian country. My father never met my mother until they got married. They were brought together, they took the vow, and after that, my father unveiled my mother for the first time and saw my mother for the first time. And I guess he struck big lottery, like, because my mother is really pretty, my father, not so. Right. So I always tell my father, you over married, you're lucky. But you know what? They have 5 children, they have 14 grandchildren. They slept on the same bed until about 2.5 years ago when my mother passed away. I guess they did fall in love. So I think no matter what, if you are doing your work right now, if you give your very best and do your best, you probably will fall in love with that. Something else come along the way, you can fall in love with that too. Look, if someone can actually tell me right now what they want to be in the next 25 years, I think that will be quite impossible because things are changing so fast. In the book Range, they talk about the useless class, that in the future, there's a lot of jobs that's going to disappear. So how do you know that this is it? How do you know? If you don't try stuff and do stuff. So to me, anybody who's looking for something that they love, my suggestion is this: do stuff, try stuff, do a lot of stuff, try a lot of stuff. And you have done a lot of stuff, Lisa. You did a lot of other work along the way. And then you eventually cross-pollinate all this to create something that you really, really enjoy doing right now. So I think the concept of do what you love and love what you do. If you happen to know exactly what you're going to do, I'm happy for you. If you're not, don't sweat it. Do whatever you're doing and do it the best. You might fall in love with that, or something else might come along the way because the world is changing at a very fast speed. I would recommend people go read the book Range, David Epstein's work, and you will know what I'm talking about. Okay. So
Okay.
uh, about the third one, the third
Mm.
point that was talking
Focus
about
on what you do
focus
best.
on what you do best. Now, if you do that, there's a chance that you might miss out on opportunity that might be passing by you. If you just are having tunnel vision in doing what you're doing. Sometimes they say when the opportunity knocks, some people complain of the noise because you're not putting up your antenna, you're not picking this up. So you might miss an opportunity to really grasp on something which is amazing, right? Technology changes are happening at a warp speed right now. If you just keep on focusing on what you do best, how do you know that this cannot take you to the next level? So I think putting up your antenna, do stuff, try stuff, keep your eyes in the market. And by the way, the market doesn't give a rat's as to what you love. The market is going to demand what it needs. So you might like something, but if the market doesn't demand it, hey, what are you going to do about it? So I think it's over romanticized. I may not come across as very popular because people love saying that, oh, love what you do and do what you love, and then you'll never feel that you work a single day. No, I don't think that's really true. So that's my thought.
Okay, interesting. So I'm going to bring up now our giveaway, the first book of Thrive. Now, what have you learned? So if you answer this very quickly for those who are watching live or even post, what is the one thing you have learned so far that's been meaningful to you? So if you type it in, and then our producer will send a copy to the first person who answers that question. Now we have Putra Shazwan Shah. He says, hi, Paul and Lisa. How do we break out of a work habit routine that no longer brings any productivity to our work performance?
How do we break out of a work habit or routine that no longer brings any productivity to our work performance? First of all, if you can already identify that, then doing it will not be a very smart thing, right? So if you can already identify that it's not giving you the productivity, then I think the logical thing for you is to not do it. But what if you are so accustomed of doing it and you're trying to get out? So there's something that if you want to start a new habit, by the way, that 21 days habit formation, that's actually a lie. It's not true. That if you do something for 21 days, it will become a habit. No, it's not. It was basically that research was based on how quickly can someone get used to a new feature after plastic surgery.
Okay.
That was a research done somewhere in the 1950s. It takes about 21 days, but it's not habit formation. So I think people should go read Martin Seligman's work. So it's not. Normally it takes about 13 weeks for any habit to be solidified. So in fact, I talk about that on the last chapter. So 13 weeks. So what you need to do is, if you want to start something, I like what Atomic Habit talks about. James Clear talks about you need to do what you call habit stacking. Um, it's it's you doing something alongside with something that you're already doing. For example, some people advise you that pick up reading. Reading is very important, and they said read before you go to bed. Uh, Not the smartest idea. Why? Number one, if you do not have your reading muscle strong, going to bed, which you're already tired, opening up a book that has got font size of 10 and it's going to be 400 pages, there's a direct correlation. The thicker your book, the deeper your sleep, by the way. So it's not going to work. All right. So the best time will be to read when you are already doing something regularly. For example, if you're a Muslim, for example, you get up in the morning, you have your morning prayers. So good time for you to read will be after your morning prayer, because the morning prayer is already a habit, right? So what you do, you just stack an activity after that habit. All right. So one way for you to actually pick up and solidify a habit is doing that. But you must go through the process of that, doing it for a certain period so that it solidifies, it becomes a second nature then. So yeah, habit stacking is a great way to do things.
I like that. If I can just add on a little bit to that. So, for example, I'm just thinking, and this picture is occurring where if you are reading papers in the morning and you tell yourself that you want to drink perhaps, a lot of water in a day, to park your water jug next to the newspaper with a
Yeah.
cup so that it becomes, as you say, stacked, right? And it's easy to go on next.
Yeah.
I have another comment here from Sharvina Devi saying emotions are highly tied to temporal and circumstantial life incidents. So, how do we then regulate our emotions during times of uncertainty, especially at these times tend to evoke high emotional states? Perthpal?
Big question. Definitely, everybody will have different circumstances in their life. And I will not trivialize emotions that people go through, because some people go through trauma. There are some people who have the ability to help you professionally. So, the book, the angle that I'm taking is on the common emotions that people go through. If you're going through some kind of trauma that you need specialized help, then I think you should seek for that but I don't cover that. That's not my area of specialization, really.
Mm, yes. Yeah, depending on what you are going through, and also perhaps maybe some ailments, just not knowing if you have them.
I give an example. As an entrepreneur, the last 2 years was amazingly difficult. So I made a lot of emotional decisions. For example, I decided that I don't want to lose any one of my staff. It was an emotional decision, not a financial decision. It was an emotional decision, not the smartest decision, but because I have a very intimate relationship with all my staff. I got about 15 of them, and they have served and they have worked very, very hard. So I decided that, you know what, I'm going to keep you all without any pay cut. In fact, there were 3 of them actually had a salary hike because they had to learn new sets of skills during that time. So I can see the bank account depleting, definitely. I also made a commitment in order for me to not feel that stress. I decided to sell a couple of properties so that I can have the bank balance looking healthy. That was one way that I regulate my emotions. It was a difficult process, by the way. I actually talk about, there's this period called desert of desertion. Desert of desertion is something that all entrepreneurs will go through. It's when we put in our proposals, we put in a lot of work, and then there's that silent period where it's eerily silent. We don't hear anything, and that's when you get very, very, very lonely, because your mind start playing a lot of things, yeah, that this is going to be difficult and so on and so forth. So again, your network of people around you, do you have some people that you can go to? For example, definitely I'll go to my wife when it comes to her coming me, because she tends to look, in fact, in my dedication page of my book, I talk about to my wife Bhajan, who constantly reminds me that all this is just temporary. All this is just temporary. So for me to hear that from her is very comforting. But I probably will not go and talk to her about strategy and stuff, because she may not be the right person to guide me. So what do I have? I have a bunch of mentors that can help me in different fields. For example, I got a mentor when it comes to health and fitness. I've got a mentor who's helped me with my financial management. I have a mentor. My father is a go-to mentor about the spirit of just doing it. So what I have is a mastermind group that can help me take me through that difficult period. So yeah, different people have got different ability to help me. Yeah, so I tend to rely a lot on that too. Although I am a person who loves being alone, but I have got a good set of mentors who are genuine in helping me. Yeah.
That's really important. Having people to role model after and to guide you, to give you
Mm.
the good route, as opposed to banging your head against the wall, and then after all that effort, just feeling yourself not getting anywhere. But if you have a good mentor, then you're guided, and it kind of like puts you on the path and ensures higher success.
Yeah.
So it's a really good journey to be in. Now, I also want to kind of like add on to that question about regulation of emotions, right? And this is what I personally experienced, Sharvina, is that, just self-care is crucial. So taking care of your health, eating well, ensuring that you're not spiking your blood sugar throughout the day really helps regulate your emotions. And if you kind of incorporate exercise into your lifestyle, either during the morning or the evening after work, you would find your emotions are pretty much intact. At least you feel that high, that dopamine, that really works well for any low emotions to transform them. I'm still also read some comments here from Danya Darshini, saying, "Hello, Pal and Lisa. This question is for both of you. Being the successes that you are in your respective fields, how do you maintain a healthy body, mind, and soul?" Okay. All right. So, Paul, you go ahead first.
Oh, okay. So I think we have something similar, when we spoke a couple of days ago. Um, I've never been overweight in my life. 1 2 kilos, yes. I know exactly what's my body fat percentage. I know what's my waist to hip ratio. I know what's my weight. I know my BMI, although that's not the greatest indication for health. Why do I know this? Because I care about it. If you ask someone how much money you have in the bank account, they probably know it, right? If you ask them, what's your health stats, they probably don't. So it's you get what you focus on. So I am pretty focused on that. I try to run about 40 kilometers every week. I try to run about 4 times a week. Um, going back to the gym now because I was fittest when I was 47. I just turned 54 recently. Uh, so the idea in the
Well
next
done.
one, oh yeah. So resting heart rate 56 beats per minute. I still have a very good resting heart rate. Now,
Very good.
so, mens sana in corpore sano, a sound mind in a sound body. No point developing your mind if your body can't take it to where you're supposed to go. So, I
Mm.
think there's overemphasis about the need for us to develop mentally, but we don't stress enough the need to take care of our body. If you look, we are the most obese nation, I think, in Asia, if not, I think in Asia. Truly, in the semangat of Malaysia, boleh, we have done it, guys. We are the most obese nation. Why? Because that is a subject that's not taught in school. Two things that I think they should teach in school, which they are not. One is personal financial management, and they don't teach you about health, right? Health and nutrition. I think these are two things that boggles me. Why don't you teach this? So I do that. I consciously look into that. I can do better. And by the way, be conscious about what you eat at
Mm.
any time. So if I go for a function, if there's like curry puff, do I need it because it's on the table? Therefore, I must eat it. No, you don't. So I'm consciously thinking about that. And when I teach, I don't eat. Lisa knows this. I only eat once a day. I only eat at night when I'm in seminars. So in seminars, my clients probably will be wasting their money for their buffet spread because I will not have my breakfast. I will not have my lunch. I will not have the tea breaks. I only have water. And I feel super energized. When I go back home and I have my meal, that's it. On regular days, I eat like anybody, but I can't eat 3 meals. Lah. Over time, I just can eat 2 meals, and that's it. Yeah,
Mm.
you
And
need to know
research
where you
has
are.
shown, absolutely, absolutely, Paul. And research has shown that intermittent fasting really helps, in terms of maintaining good health. So Danya also added that we are constantly surrounded by negativity, jealousy. Yes, there are a lot of low emotions being harbored, especially in a team sometimes or in the workplace. And so she has found that it affects the quality of work life, and she finds herself losing my own identity and personally because you feel somewhat obligated to conform to society's views, and you find yourself seeking validation from people who don't even deserve your time of day.
Mm.
Yes. Yeah, it happens a lot. It happens a lot. Do you have any input on that, Paul?
We live in society, like it or not. Uh, Comments that people make will hit you. You on some days it will hit you, right? Um, as long as we live in society, um, uh, you need to differentiate between was that a fact or was that just an opinion,
Mm.
right? So I think if opinion, well, some people don't like the color of my turban, but that's your opinion, right? If my color of my turban is blinding you and it affects people's learning and watching, then I probably will have to take that into consideration in making certain changes. Why? Because you live in society. So I think you have to be mindful. One is to be yes, as individuals, you have your identity, but we live in an environment where we have people around us. So I think is you're not in the center of the goddamn universe. Let me put it this way: there are 8 billion people in this world. You are one. You're not in the center. You're just one. So I think um, to show sophistication in the way you think is about you see beyond yourself and you consider people around you. So their opinions If it's just a personal opinion and there's no uh, trend, whether that opinion makes sense, then you
There's
can
no
just discard it.
malice.
Yeah, yes, malice.
Mm,
So
mm,
if not, yeah, you may want to take that. You know, they say, right? Feedback is a breakfast for champions, and feedbacks are important,
mm,
right?
mm,
So take that. Mm.
mm. My input here would be just to add on to Paul's, would be to know your own values, Danya. And if you're going to stand in the system, right? Because there is Danya as an individual. And then when Danya is in the system, when I talk about the system, it's the world. So you have a lot of noise. Your workplace, your family, the advertisement, all the TV series. So just knowing who you are and then be able to filter whatever that's coming in into your mind, how does it coincide and align with your own values, and then filter it, knowing what you want to take in and then what you want to throw out. So having that is crucial, and you can train yourself to get there. I also like to point out Sharvina Davies' other comment here: take action. Your manifestations are not possible without action. Just do it. Too much analysis causes paralysis, and take that leap of faith or plunge. Oh, wow. Nice one, Sharvina.
I love that, Sharvina. I know some people love the book. What's that book by Rhonda Byrne? The oh goodness me, the book about manifestation. She wrote that book, right? And I just feel that
Is this the
there's a lot of
secrets?
the
You're
secret,
talking about
yes,
the
right.
secrets. Yeah,
The
okay.
secret, yeah, right. Manifestation. I really believe. I I'm a firm believer that taking action is so much more powerful than just thinking about it. All right. No changes happen until you first start taking action. So thinking is important, but you need to move the thinking into action. In fact, I actually talk about this a bit. I said that the world is being shaped by people who did more rather than know more. The world is being shaped by people who did more. I'm sure you see all around you. You see people who are doing stuff and you feel sometimes, oh, they're not that great. But you know what? They're doing it and you're not. So you can manifest anything you want. I can manifest about writing the next book, but someone out there is just going to write the book. He may not be a great writer, but he took action. He put the goddamn pen to the paper. That's it. So you know what? Move and it will manifest.
Because it's kind of sad and such a waste if
Mm.
everything is just stored here, but
Yeah.
not moving your limbs to
Yeah.
exercise it. Now, I'm going to extend this episode. We're going to cross the 1 hour mark, if that's okay with you, Perthpal, because
Good.
you're spewing out a lot of gems here, and I would like to go into now your personal life a little bit so that we can get a bit of perspective. Now, let's turn to your personal story. How did you arrive to who you are today, Perthpal?
Um, Stupidity. Actually, I would sum it that way. Yeah, like for example, I started learning Edge when I was 28 and a half years old. Not the smartest thing to do to start a company in 1997, the worst Asian financial crisis. What happened was there's a giant in the training business by the name of Dr. Palan. Everybody knows Dr. Palan, Tan Sri. And I invited Palan to speak in Celcom when I was a HR person in Celcom. I was a young executive. I saw Palan and I saw him speaking. And then at the end of that 1 hour presentation that he did, he sent an invoice for 1,500 ringgit. At that time, 1,005 was quite a lot of money. Probably he will not even get off out of seat for 1,005 now, I'm sure. So I look at that and say, wow, this can be something probably I can do. And then when you read too many books, right, the books tells you can do anything in your life, go for it. I believe that crap, right? So I have that this semangat, this desire. So age of 28 and a half, I just tendered the resignation saying I'm going to be a consultant. So, you know what? Looking back, I could have made better decisions. I should have stayed on for a few more years, understanding how business run, because the first 3.5 years was the most difficult period of my life because nobody wants to employ a young 28-year boy to speak in the organization. It was a very difficult period, but I just stuck to it. Eventually, we got a break, and we grew. So okay, so number one is the books that you read can influence you, but I think it'll be great if I had a mentor who would have guided me. So that's the reason why I wrote the book. If only I had those mentors, right? So my background is that I take risks, I jump, and then I figure out. I'm the type who jump out of the plane and stitch my parachute along the way. Not even yeah, that's the kind of person I am. I will jump and just figure it out, right? So my background is that I I started my career in the training business in 1997, and then I I love what I do. I really like what. Let me rephrase it. I like what I do. Love, I do not know. I reserve the word love for my family, for my kids. Love is very hazy. I like what I do. I still enjoy it, and I like it so much that I don't like the business side of it. I love the work of it. So I still lock in about 16 to 22 days of speaking every month. I turun padang. I'm the managing director of the company, but I love being in the classroom, right? Um, I intend to do this until I'm 75. Uh, and I totally believe that my best years will be once I'm 58 years old and above. Why? I think I've ripened myself, and I'm not very worried about how the world look at me anymore. Because when you grow old, right, you stop giving a damn to a lot of things in life. So I think I can be more brutally honest in my work, and I think my best years will be when I'm 58. So I got another 4 years of practice before I can really unleash my my best service, I think. So yeah,
Mm.
58 above. I think that's when I'm going to really enjoy my work. Right now,
Wow. Hmm.
yeah, yeah. So
The best is yet to come.
yeah, yeah. That's why I have to keep myself fit. Another reason why I keep myself fit is because I've got a 7.5-year-old kid, right?
Mm.
I adopted that one. And so 10 years from now, she's going to be 17 and a half. And probably she says, let's travel. 10 years from now, I'm 64. I'll, I cannot be saying, you got to go because, 64, I'm a bit slow. No, I want to be able to play ball with her as long as I can. So that's why mensana in corpora sano, a sound mind, a sound body. I really want to take care of that part. Yeah,
Very
consciously.
nice.
Mm.
Very nice. So, if you have to look back, you're saying that you're the type who stitches his parachute when he jumps. If you have to look back to your younger self and the experiences, any kind of perhaps learning or perspective that you would change in your journey that you know can accelerate?
So many, so many, so many,
Okay, top
so
of your
many.
head, the top
Top
of
of
your
my head,
head.
definitely better financial management, understanding how business are structured. I still do not know that. That's something that I don't like that part. But yeah, you have to be mindful of how do you actually use your resources for the best results. So definitely having better financial management that will help. Understanding the concept of delayed gratification. I only learned that when I was about 35. So you make stupid decisions like you're successful. You want to buy a $25,000 watch. That kind of stupid thing that you do, um, but not important anymore right now. Yeah. So yeah. So definitely that, and also uh, that you don't have to know everything to start something. That's been my motto, but I think I could have intensified that a bit more without any fear that I do not have enough.
Mm.
Because you go figure out anyway, you go figure out. So I think that will be something that I probably would want to do better. Mm.
Very nice. Thank you. Sharvina just commented, thank you, Perthpal and Lisa. Definitely agree that self-care is a huge contributor to mental and emotional well-being. Nothing a good movie and some comforting hot chocolate cannot cure. Oh, yes. Anything that makes you feel good, Sharvina, go for it in that moment if you need it. and it helps you to change just how you feel and get you in a better mood, do it. But just don't do the drugs, okay? Not the high stuff. All right. So coming now to the question of thriving, right, Perthpal? At your level, how do you keep thriving?
Oh, I realized that the technology aspect of things is leveling the playing field right now. I may have been in the business for about 25 years now, but in the last 2 years, I'm relegated with any novice coming to business. Why? Because the playing field has been leveled by technology. So I find that for me to thrive is for me to latch on technology as well. I'm not doing it as great as I should or as intense as I should, but that's something that I am also looking at. Secondly, it's about not only learning, but learning very, very quickly because the half life of knowledge is getting shorter. We used to have the luxury of going to university and learning for 4 years. And when you come out, you can work for the rest of your life. But right now, the knowledge that you have is becoming irrelevant very, very quickly. So I call it the half life of knowledge, right? So the decay is fast. So the only way that you can keep up is your ability to learn, not only learn, but learn very, very quickly. So your ability to learn quickly is something that a lot of people need to develop. All right. So yeah, speed of learning has to increase.
Mm.
That's something that I'm picking up. Number two, also about reinventing yourself because the market is evolving. So you cannot be spewing the same thing for 25 years, right? So you have to develop new stuff. You have to re stitch who you are going into this next phase. So, how do I do that? I have very young people in my organization. In fact, um, this guy in my office, his name is Hashwinder. What took me 25 years, Hash is going to do in the next 7. Why? Because I'm downloading to him everything. The day he joined me as a young boy, and I told him this: if you are willing to give me the 2 to 5 years, I promise you, what you're going to get is going to be so much more greater. And he's doing it. He can speak more fluently than me. He's got amazing command of English. He's very, very smart. Came from very good university. Well rounded person. Looks like a Korean superstar, by the way, and that helps a little bit more. And so what I do is I surround myself with young people. So I'm learning a lot of stuff. So I actually tell them this: if I do not know something, I know a lot of stuff, but this one I do not know. Help me. Right now, I'm in the studio. I've got these multiple camera angles, and I've got my crew member here. I tell them, please, when it comes to technology, I am a dud, all right? So I need you all to help me out, right? So they are here. So it makes my life easier. So me not hiding my weaknesses, but rather celebrating that certain things I'm not good at. Can you help me? Asking for that is going to liberate a lot of people from the fear of not able to do something and help you learn faster. So
I,
that's something that I really am doing right now.
I love it. I love it. I think, any leader who is able to show vulnerability is a true leader because your growth spurt or your growth journey is going to be much more accelerated because of that humility. So we're going to announce the winners of Perthpal's book Thrive at the end of the show. Only a few more minutes to go. Perthpal, what or how many books do you read in a week or a month? Give us an indication.
I buy 4 every month. I buy 4.
Okay.
Right now, what I do is I buy 2 paperbacks, but I also subscribe to audiobooks.
Mm.
So I have Audible. I also have Scribed. So I use that. So because I run, so I run 40 kilometers will take me about 4 hours. So if you talk about, for example, if you're listening to Yuval's book is about 400 pages. That's about 9 hours. So if I run 4 hours a week, I can finish a book in 2 weeks. So what happened is I listen to two audiobooks every time I run. So that's two books and the paperback books that I pick up and I read. So that's something that I've been doing for many, many, many years. And a lot of people think that if you buy a book, you need to read from page 1 till page 400. If you have time for that, good. I don't. So what I do is I do a lot of skip reading and I visit the book again and again from time to time. Because every time you read it, because you have changed, the message comes to you very differently. They say, the student is ready, the teacher will appear. So you pick up a book that you have read 10 years ago, read it now, you probably have a totally different understanding from the same book. So revisit some of the books that you have. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. Very nice. Shasi has a question. What changed for you, Perthpal? You mentioned about the watch. Not sure if you actually bought it, but is there a defining moment or incident that changed the way you wanted to lead your life?
Well, as soon as the children comes in, right, the kids come in, right, you look at the kid and you say, okay, this is the most important thing in your life. Everything else then comes secondary. So that's one big change. And then I have this philosophy, which is really screwed at one time when I was starting my career. I said, don't worry about your expenses, increase your earning. That's such a wrong concept. I read that in a very obscure book somewhere. It said, don't focus about expenses, increase your earning.
But there
Right? If you
seems to be some goodness in there, no?
no, look,
No?
whatever it is, if you've got a pocket and you've got a small hole, it will sip out, it will sip out, it will sip out, right? And you will
Gotcha.
just deplete it.
Gotcha.
So, you know what? So again, children one. And secondly, then you look into your next leg of life and you're thinking, what kind of lifestyle would I like to have in the future? So, do you have the resources? It's sickening to know that about 48% of people have less than 10,000 in their savings in EPF, the latest, and that's scary, isn't it? And and I think it's because people do not understand of playing the long game and instead of the short game. So right now, withdrawing the 10,000 again. I'm not judging. I know some people are in dire needs. That itself should be a question. A country which is full of resources, we have people in dire needs of 10,000. There's some failure somewhere. So that's a topic for another day. But again, family and also consciously looking into your financial management as a part and parcel of a big chunk of your life. We set goals, right? So if you got 7, 8 different type of goals in life, financial goals are something that people should consciously do and teach their children at a very young age. So yeah, yeah, no. So I'm not saying don't buy the watch. Yeah, go buy the watch. I got a kick-ass watch right now. It's I buy them. I've got certain things that I spend. Really, I do. I don't live in a luxury home because my children went to an international school. I have to fork out money for that. It's a conscious decision I made. So therefore, I did not go for my Serengeti. I did not go for my 21 days Iceland tour. Why? Because money is funded to the education. But I do indulge. I love bikes. I got a couple of bikes that I ride. So you need to celebrate some success as well, but being mindful, not for the purpose of showing other people, but it's because I like bikes. I don't even ride with people, I ride alone. So I like bikes. I don't necessarily like bikers. Please understand that there's a difference. So I don't ride with people. I ride alone mostly.
So if you see a solo rider on the road, it's probably Perthpal. Okay, so finally, Perthpal, I know a lot of leaders have a metaphor, and that metaphor
Mhm.
can change in different phases of your life. So at this stage of your life, what is your mantra? What is your metaphor?
Uh, I think it will be the fifth or the sixth chapter of my book,
Mm.
which basically talk about just do it. Don't have to think too much. Don't overthink. Because you know what? Not making a decision is a decision itself. So you know what? To me, make a decision. If it's working, good. If it's not working, what do you do? Just tweak a bit more. Now, if that doesn't work, what do? You tweak it a bit more. the person who keep on tweaking is going to win. So to me, it's falling forward, falling forward fast. Don't repeat the same goddamn mistakes. Make more, or rather, make better bad decisions. Make better bad choices. We're all going to make bad choices. Make better bad choices. So to me, it's making better bad choices because we're going to make mistakes anyway. So I'd rather make better bad choices. So it's moving forward. Um, don't think too much. If you have enough data to see that you can run that 5 kilometers, run that 5. Don't think about how difficult is it completing 42.195 kilometer. And to me is this. For all those people listening, do you know how you run a 42.195 kilometer race? It's not about it's not about running the 5 kilometers and then sign up for 10 or doing the 21. No. You run the marathon by registering. That's it. You register, you increase your chances of running by 100%. Because there's no way in hell that you're going to walk one day and see Standard Chartered people are running and you say, I think I'm going to run also. It's not going to work. All right? You're only going to run because you register. So to me, it's this. Register. That is what you need to do. All the details, you'll figure it out because there are enough people along the way who want to see you successful. Contrary to popular belief, I think people would like to hear more success stories than hoping that or rooting for people to fail. So you know what? As soon as you put on the shoes and you go to the park, you will see some senior runners telling you, hey, welcome, man. You should run with us. Because you know what? That positive environment will actually help you weather through any kind of difficulty. So yeah, that's my parting thought, really.
Very nice, very nice. Well, thank you so much, Perthpal, for the many sharings of great insights to help us thrive. Now, if you want to get your book of Thrive, they are available on the Malaysian shopping platforms such as Shopee or Lazada. Now, I'm going to announce the winners of Perthpal's 2 books for the show. Congratulations to Sharvina and Randeep. Well done, guys. You pick up your copy of Perthpal's Thrive. So Perthpal, I wish you all the best, and thank you once again.
Thank you very much, Lisa. It was a pleasure talking to you and to your entire team. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. So this show is brought to you by Ludonomics and Opeaklife. I'd like to thank all our viewers who joined in and also for the post-show, your comments or your feedback, most valued. I'm Lisa Wong. It's been an honor serving you. I'd like to thank my producer, Shasi, and the team. And guys, be fulfilled and live a purposeful life. We'll see you next time.